So hello and welcome to the channel, welcome to another Assetto Corsa Competizione video. We're here in the Porsche 992, the GT3R, and a beautiful looking car it is. I've got to be honest, it's probably one of my favourite looking cars from the rear, but on screen we can just see some of the clips. I recently came into Steam and saw that there were a few images from the Assetto Corsa Evo game forthcoming this year, so I thought I'd just share a few of these clips. Obviously we can see a few circuits, a few weather conditions, a few different eras of cars, so there's quite a bit in this little section, so do pause the video if you want to have a look at some of the cars that are on display there. Quickly just flying through that. Obviously we've still not got a date, so I didn't really want to do too much about Assetto Corsa Evo. It's still on its way. But as I did mention, the rear of this car for me is just, it's a beautiful thing, it really is. I do like the Porsche Taycan as well, a beautiful looking car. But coming back to the game, this is running, the replay here is running on the PC. And it's running on the PC because at the moment I really do feel that there's something wrong with the replays on Xbox. It just feels like it's juddery. It's hard to explain really. It's almost like it's just flashing on and off all the time. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely something wrong with it. I've recently had to do a full Xbox reset just to be able to start capturing again. For some reason I wasn't able to capture, and I think this was causing issues actually with the game as well. But looking at the replay, obviously things like this that you just can't do in the Xbox version of the game. Just sit on the sidelines as a spectator. It really does have that sense of being at the circuit. It would be quite interesting to watch a race just from that one position. Getting very sideways through there as well. But it really has been quite challenging setting the car up here at the Nordschleife. It's not really a car I drive very often, the Porsche, but a subscriber, I forget the name, I will add it in a little link. But coming on board with the lap, then I've tried to add the steering wheel. I don't ever use the steering wheel in car when I'm driving, but just to give you some reference as to what is going on at the wheel. I thought it'd be a little bit better for you to understand what's going on inside the car. You can see there up on the left hand side I've got the MFD as well, so you can see that I am changing traction control in these replays. It doesn't give you that detail on the board, on the dashboard, so I just thought I would add that so you can see I am going in and out of first and fifth traction control, and it's something that I set up in the control settings to be able to just shift. I've got a Y and an X on my wheel and I just shift between them really quickly. Another thing, someone else asked me how I shift so quickly between two very different traction control settings. Also you can see on the right hand side the tyre delta as well. Just a bit of graphic detail that you don't get in these replays. I just thought I would add it on screen so you can see it. Very tentative the first part of the course, and when I was racing here with my fastest ghost, which is an 810 in the Ford Mustang, it really is just on the straights that the Mustang pulls away from the Porsche. But you'll see by the end of this lap we set at 812.4 I think it is, and the car does feel really good. You could sort of raise the rear ride height a little bit to get the car a little bit more compliant. You'll see that there is a little bit of understeer in some of these corners. I've got the preload set at 150 as well, so that's going to give us a bit more stability on corner entry by locking the rear differential. But at the same time it's not going to allow the car to rotate as easily. Again with the rear ride height, because I've lowered it, it doesn't allow the car to rotate as easily. And these are, I guess these are issues that are going to slow you down, but if you can handle the car in a more oversteery state, you are going to be quicker. But I think at the same time, I watched somebody else set a lap in the Porsche, and I'm sure he set in 8 minutes 6. But the car control was off the scale, to be honest. And I think when it comes down to driving and being consistent, you could set the car up to do, I guess, a faster lap time, but at the same time it's going to depend on your skill level entirely. Because if you haven't got the skills to be able to handle a car that oversteers more than it understeers, it does make it quite a problem to actually finish the lap. So I think the setup that I'm running here gives you the chance to finish the lap and be more consistent with an 8 minute 13, an 8 minute 12, an 8 minute 14 lap, as opposed to an 8 minute 6 lap. But it also allows you that chance of finishing the lap, because there's nothing worse than having a car that's capable of setting a mega lap time, but it's forever in the barriers. If you understand my meaning, I would rather have a car that's more consistently able to set a lap and finish the lap itself, than to actually struggle to get the car around the circuit. So that is my intention with this setup. Well, I'll have a look at a few little things in the setup that you might want to change to get it a little bit more oversteering. You see sections like this very tentative on the turning, the acceleration, and always switching down to TC1 on the exit. I think this other guy was running zero traction control, something a lot of the really good drivers do on PC. Again, through here, very tentative. The car feels like it's really is on the edge of grip. Again, through this section, it really is that drag factor. If you could reduce the amount of rear wing, I'm running maximum rear wing on the Porsche, and it is great through the corners, but along these long straights, I think you're hitting nearly 260 up here in the Mustang, so it really feels like slow motion coming up the hill. A little shift down to 5th gear through there, almost shifting down at the point where you're still flat on the throttle, and then a little lift, getting the car slowed down into 2nd gear, really hugging this inside, really trying to get the car to rotate there. I guess lifting the rear wing would help in that scenario. Always wanting to keep a wheel on the flat section through the carousel. And this for me is where the lap really does get tricky. I absolutely hate this corner. I'd love to carry 4th gear through here with a little bit more throttle and be more confident to be in 3rd gear. I do drop down to 2nd gear, but you can hold 3rd gear through there, but I'm really not sure it gives you any more speed. And a very tentative section where you kind of want to be on the power more than letting the car roll through that section. Getting downshifted early, very out of shape through here on the PC version, managing to hold it together through there. I do enjoy this section, but the car is so light as well through here. Really is on the edge of grip. Short sections where I'm dropping into 1st on the acceleration, traction control wise, and then back into TC5. A little stab of brake pedal into 4th over the little crest there, just to settle the car before we actually turn in. And you can see on the delta in the top left corner, I'm up by 1.1 seconds at this point. So feeling very confident about this lap. I'm always looking at the lap delta at certain points around here. And a very wide through here, that was a terrible line. So there's definitely some improvement to be made, but I guess it's how many laps can you possibly set to find that perfect lap. I just wanted to get the video done, get other people using the setup, and just get another video on the channel without You know, spending hours setting that perfect lap. So under the bridge there for, I think it was a 7:27. I'm sure in the Mustang it's a 7:25 under the bridge. But I do wonder really where I'm going wrong with the lap. Not to be into the low 8.5s, 8.6s. I don't know how these guys are setting these lap times. I really don't. I'd have been happy, so happy with an 8:10. Very light through here, then back to TC1. As much acceleration as you can on the exit. That front right tyre could just do with a tiny bit more PSI. But starting out the lap, it just gets overinflated. So an 8:12, 45, 4.5, 450. So let's quickly have a look. Quickly have a look at the timetable then. Could do with being 2:48 in sector 1. I'm happy with the 2:33 in sector 2. And again, looking at a 2:48 in the final sector preferably. So looking at the setup then, a couple of things you could tweak. You could probably add a little bit more caster if you wanted to, just to add a little bit more weight in the wheel. Always running that traction control, I'd say 4 to 6, somewhere in the middle there, and 8. Definitely wanting to use brake disc 2, I just think it gives the car more stability. And then you could adjust the preload there then, just bringing it down a little bit to add a little bit more rotation, maybe down to 100 Newton meters, or maybe even down to 50 to get lots more rotation. Really wanting to lift the bump stop range, just helps the car perform over a lot of the curbs. Don't spend time on the dampers. I spent loads of time in the Motac software and it really doesn't help. Just use this meta setup and just raising the ride height between 80 or 85 to get more rotation from the car. I wouldn't really risk lowering the rear wing unless you've got a lot more confidence than I have, and I tend to keep the brake ducts at 3 just to give the tyres a little bit of respite. And that's the video. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do subscribe to the channel, like and share, leave a comment. I always do get back to people. Thanks for watching. Ciao for now.